Welcome back to MMA Mutants with MVP. I am Strebo from Mutantville.com. This is part 2, of my discussion on the upcoming boxing versus MMA style fight between James Lights Out Toney and Randy the Natural Couture. Okay, be sure to watch my first video. I talked a good bit about James Toney in that. Talked about why he's a live fighter in this, why I'm looking forward to this, because the guy can knock people out. He's been knocking them out for years in those big boxing gloves, and now he's going to have little 4-ounce MMA style gloves on. And if he clips you, he can knock you right out. And the guy puts his combinations together expertly. He has probably the most deadly and precise counter right hand, counter right uppercut in boxing. One of the best in boxing history, period. The guy is a future boxing Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. That's why I like him in this fight. People say he's old and washed up in boxing, but he was just fighting for the heavyweight title just 4 years ago. He was fighting for the #1 spot. So perhaps he's past his prime, but the guy's still dangerous and should be taken seriously. Now, he's fighting Randy the Natural Couture, one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, the man possessed of the most advanced ring intelligence in MMA. That's, ring intelligence, ring generalship, keeping the fight where he wants to, following proper strategies to victory, knowing how to use the cage to his advantage, whether that's using it to get up off the ground, walk his back up it, or to spin an opponent around and press them against the cage, whether it's, working ground and pound on the ground and pushing somebody into the cage, or working in the middle of the ring. He knows how to do that. Couture does it all. He does it all. Couture has a long and storied career in mixed martial arts, in the UFC in particular. The guy has beaten a who's list of great fighters. He's fought everybody that's ever come his way. In heavyweights, he beat Vitor Belfort, who was fighting as a heavyweight at the time, Maurice Smith, Kevin Randleman, Pedro Hizo. There are plenty of others. At light heavyweight, he cleaned out the division. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Vitor Belfort at light heavyweight again. He came back to heavyweight. He beat Tim Sylvia when nobody else seemed to be able to do it at the time. Gabriel Gonzaga right after he blitzed Mirko Cro Cop. So Couture, he's one of the all-time greats. He just punished Mark Coleman in their crossroads fight between two legends, where he just made Coleman look foolish. A lot of people say that's because Coleman was old, but you know what? In Coleman's previous fight, he looked really good in losing to Stephan Bonnar, but no, he beat Bonnar. He looked good in beating Bonnar, but Couture would have beat him at any stage of their careers. Couture's always been the smarter fighter, and he's had phenomenal cardio. Where Coleman would have gassed out, or if they fought earlier in their careers, and Couture would have just pounded his face in. He wouldn't have submitted him like he did now. Couture's one of those guys that actually seems to get better with age. He may have lost some of his punch resistance, though, because he's been getting sparked by right hands. I mean, Nogueira dropped him with the right hand. Of course, Liddell knocked him out with right hands. So that's why Toney, he's a live dog in this fight, okay? Because, like I said, the guy's got one of the most precise counter rights. He puts his punches together better than almost any fighter in the game today. The right hand is his bread and butter. That's what Couture is susceptible to. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm excited about this fight. It's a throwback fight, boxing versus MMA, Couture versus Toney. It's going to be exciting, very exciting. Couture, his strengths lie not in mixed martial arts per se. You're not ever going to see him do a spinning back kick or a high roundhouse kick to the head, but you are going to see him perhaps use a little front kick to set up a right hand, to set up a upper body clinch, so he can get a takedown and work his ground and pound on the ground, or possibly work a submission on the ground. Couture, his strengths lie in his Greco-Roman wrestling. He was one of the first guys that showed us that Greco-Roman wrestling really translates well into mixed martial arts. He's the first guy beyond Dan Severn, who's also a freestyle wrestler. But Couture is almost like the epitome of the Greco-Roman style wrestler in no holds bar. You rarely see, I don't think I've ever seen him actually shoot for the legs. He always shoots for the upper body clinch, which is just smart. If you drop your head down low, you're susceptible to kicks or knees to the head. So by keeping your head up higher, you don't have to worry about those things so much. So Couture, he's just shown over the years that he knows how to take the fight where he wants it, and he knows how to keep it there. He knows how to follow a game plan to victory, and he's shown that he doesn't get tired. He's shown that he's strong enough to be in the ring with anybody. I mean, he took Brock Lesnar down. Carwin didn't take Lesnar down. Carwin knocked him down because he was punching his head. But even big Shane Carwin didn't take Lesnar down. Couture took him down. Man, if Couture can take Lesnar down, he can take anybody down. Which means he would have taken Fedor down, which is why I'm sad that fight never happened. But who knows? We'll keep our fingers crossed. Maybe Fedor's managers will finally have some sense and get him into the UFC soon. But I don't want to digress and get off on that topic. But anyway, Couture is the epitome of the Greco-Roman style wrestler fighting as a mixed martial artist. His kicks are not a big weapon, but he knows how to use his punches on the inside. He uses his punches specifically like an overhand right to set up the shoot to the upper body clinch. He uses dirty boxing on the inside. Now, interesting side note, which nobody ever believes me, but Couture actually trained with some JKD guys, Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's style, early in his career to learn how to transition from wrestling into mixed martial arts, because he didn't know how all the punches and everything went together. And those are the guys that explained to him how ranges worked, helped him find his way through all that, understand the different ways of attacks, using right hands to set up a shoot, and that kind of thing. So, as my proof, I'll find it one day. I have a magazine here where it was an advertisement for Jeet Kune Do instructional DVDs, and Couture endorses. He says these were the guys that I trained with to learn how to get into mixed martial arts. So I'll find it one day and prove it to everybody. But anyway, this is a styles matchup. It's boxing versus MMA, boxing versus wrestling. In the previous video, I talked about some classic boxing versus MMA style matches over the years, and this one fits right in there. That's why I love it. Dana White is calling this a freak show. He's wanting Couture to make an example of James Toney. Couture's just going in there to win. He's not going to look to actually hurt Toney or make an example of him, which is something like Shinya Aoki would do. When he broke that guy's arm when he fought in Sengoku, the guy wouldn't tap. Aoki broke his arm right in two. That's making an example of somebody. Couture's not going to do that. He's just going to look to win the fight. He's a sportsman. He knows Tony's going home to his family at the end of the day, and he wants to do the same. He's not going to injure him unnecessarily. He's just going to do what it takes to win the fight, and that's probably going to entail establishing a clinch, throwing Tony on his head, punching him in his face till he rolls over, and then choking him unconscious. So, my prediction: Couture, round one, barehanded choke. That's like this. That's not rear naked, okay, with both hands. It's one hand around the neck, pressing inward with the other, barehanded choke. That's how Couture's going to win. I don't think Couture has enough steam on his punches to actually knock Tony out and stop him. I could be mistaken, because Couture has pounded a lot of guys over the years with his ground and pound. As far as heavyweights go, he's beaten Pedro Hizzo, he beat Vitor Belfort at heavyweight, he beat Maurice Smith, Kevin Randleman, Tim Sylvia, Gabriel Gonzaga, right after he crushed Mirko Cro Cop. Okay, at light heavyweight, Couture, he beat a who's list of the light heavyweights. The only guy he didn't beat was Vanderlei Silva because they never had a chance to fight. But Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Vitor Belfort. Couture is a legend. This is an amazing fight. I believe he's already in the UFC Hall of Fame. Tony will be in the Boxing Hall of Fame. This is a Hall of Fame matchup between two fighters. Couture is actually the older fighter in this matchup. People have been saying he's shot for years. Boxing fans have said Tony's shot for years. I say it's a great styles fight. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. UFC 118. Anything could happen. Tony could catch Couture with the right hand, followed up with a good combination, knock him out cold in the first 30 seconds, and then Couture will most likely throw a small front kick, divert Tony's attention, throw a right hand, establish the clinch as he reacts, dump Tony on his head, sit on top of him, pound his face in. Tony rolls over, slips the choke in, ref steps in, stops the fight most likely, or Tony will be choked completely unconscious out in the middle of the ring, in the middle of the octagon, and that'll be all she wrote. I'm looking forward to it. UFC 118. I'll see you then.